And there you go. Scotty made it back. Scotty made it back. He got the seat right in there, right at time.
I'm like Batman, bro. I mean, honestly, unbelievable. Down to the second, like a Formula One driver, or like a Sidney Crosby 4.9. Look who it is, stuck in the chimney. Elvis on Christmas Eve. Of course, we got it all going. Hanukkah, Christmas, New Year's. It's the holidays, Denny. Wrap it all up. Good to see you. I love you. What did you think of Crosby tying Lemieux's assist record? And they've moved over 500. I mean, for a crappy hockey team, Sullivan is turning them around. They've made a couple moves. I like the Tomasino move. And they're playing decent hockey.
Yeah, 6-3-1 over the last 10. Like they're a point or two out of a playoff spot. And Sid's dragging them into the fight. That's what Hall of Famers do. That's what GOATs do. They drag the team that isn't very good, and you're right, back into the fight. So will they make the playoffs? I don't know. Scotty, it may be going down to the last week for a game 81 or game 82 like a couple of years ago where the Penguins get in. They're playing better. Do I think they're a top 8 team in the East? Not right now. It depends on Ottawa. I think that Pittsburgh's destiny in the playoffs, I think, are tied to Ottawa because you think Tampa's going to make it. Ottawa has gotten really good goaltending from Ullmark. They're a good offensive team. They've been playing better. They went out west and won a bunch of games. So I think that's the one team that really stands in the way because you look at the other teams below the line like, Carver High's Islanders and the Rangers. I don't know. They can't get out of their own way. So it's going to be interesting to see, but it's good to see Pittsburgh get back on track. And then Merkel has had a really nice season, too. People forget when they traded for him, they gave him 6 large for 5 years, and it didn't really pay off, but he's had a really nice season. So it's not shocking that you're telling me the Penguins are playing better and Sid's leading the charge.
My boy, Raquel Welch, playing some decent hockey for the Penguins. I just can't believe they're ahead of the Rangers and Islanders, to be honest with you, and that they're up there 6 back of Carolina. And then I got to tell you, Florida flipped with, the Lightning in those 2 games. I watched them win that game at Rogers Place the other night, last week. That wild game, they were down 4-2, and they won it 6-5. And I think Verhaeghe had the go-ahead goal. And they reminded me that night that they were Stanley Cup champs. Do you like the way they stand right now atop the Atlantic and, all things being equal for, where they are now as opposed to winning the Cup last year?
No Stanley Cup hangover. Whatever Paul Maurice said to his team in training camp, it's worked. They're playing very, very well. I wouldn't be shocked if they repeated. Because you're right, Scotty. They're playing very. Now they dodged a bullet the other night. Remember, Kachuk got hit knee on knee by Kucherov, who's sneaky dirty, really, when you think about it. So they dodged the bullet there. But if this team stays healthy, they still have all the components. So look, game after game, you see how good Barkov is and how underrated it is. And every day he reminds me of Kopitar here in Los Angeles, a guy who's unheralded, is not a flashy guy, goes out, plays smart, plays a 200-foot game. Has a surprising wrist shot. So, the Panthers could easily repeat it. They get the play up front, and, of course, they get the goaltending from Bob. It's still a very dangerous team. This team has designs on winning back-to-back titles.
So I just want to say, Kucherov with the knee on knee. I prefer, when I'm playing basketball, the knee to the groin. I think is a more effective.
More effective, it is.
Knee on knee can, there's surgeries involved, blown out knees, not a good scene. The knee to the groin lets you know where you stand.
You mean
in the
business,
mix of
exactly.
things. You know what I mean?
You're not well liked, exactly.
I'm telling you. So, a team that I've been interested in, and you and I talk about them a lot, is your Kings. I think, they've been on this long trip. Are they home yet? I mean, when does that end? I know they've been out here forever. And
I think in
where
June.
do you like their situation and where they're standing right now?
Okay, so they're the best, I think the second best defensive team in the league. This team is not flashy. I think they're 13th in offense. And I think at the trade deadline, Rob Blake's got to go out and get another score on the wing. I think they're short a forward up front that has some touch. But they play great defense. Darcy Kemper, who came back in the trade for Dubois, who did nothing here in 1 year in Los Angeles, has been good, .915 save percentage. So they're a pesky team. They're a really good team, Here's the problem. If they play the playoffs right now, it would be the 4th consecutive season they play the Edmonton Oilers in the playoffs. And I don't know if they can still beat them. Like, it's a different team. Edmonton's a little bit different and lost some players, but it's a sneaky good team. It's a team that should definitely make the playoffs. I think when I look at the West, I see 4 teams from the Pacific and 4 from the Central. The Kings are a nice story, right? Are they deep enough and are they talented enough to win 4 rounds? I don't know. But, Scotty, they haven't won a playoff round since they won the Cup in 2014. That's too long. Maybe this team could do it primarily because of their defense. They know how to check. They play defense well, and that's why they're winning games right now.
Do you like going to their games?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine with it. Yeah, they're not the most exciting team in the world. I get it. I understand it's not the Edmonton Oilers. But a win's a win. Like, there's some games. Look, in November when they play Columbus on a Tuesday night, is it a thrilling game? And is the arena packed in LA? No, it's not. Right? But once it gets to the playoffs, it's still a great fan base. Yeah, it's not the most thrilling hockey in the world, Scotty. I get it. But you got to win games. That's what Jim Hiller behind the bench is paid to do, is to pay to win games. And with this team that doesn't have an old abundance of offensive talent, you got to win games. And how do you do that? You check and you play defense.
So let's take a break from the hockey for a second and review Mama Patty's birthday and the trip to Vegas. How was the Eagles at Sphere and Garth Brooks? Okay,
so the Eagles was a performance. Right, and they had Scott. They sold, for U2. I saw U2 at Sphere, and they didn't sell any seats on the floor. It was a standing room. They put seats in the floor for Eagles, and because the fans are like our age, you couldn't stand up. So if you bought a ticket on the floor for a seat, you couldn't stand up. There was no standing rule. It was interesting because they just performed. There's no interaction with the crowd or anything. Even Don Henley said, he got up there and said, well, there's 160,000 speakers, at the Sphere here, and it's, some pretty pictures, but we're just about the music. No, you shouldn't be about the music if you're playing at the Sphere. It's the technology is great. The next night, you have just 180 degrees or maybe 270 degrees with Garth Brooks, an entertainer who loves the crowd, who loves the adoration, who connects with the crowd. Granted, we had great seats. We were in the 3rd row for her birthday. I get it. But the way he connects to his fan base, and they know every word of every song, it was such a different experience, Scotty. It was. And to be frank, I have friends who work with the Eagles and manage them, but I enjoyed the Garth Brooks show so much better because he connects with the crowd.
Wow. Where was that concert? Was that at Sphere too?
No, that was the Coliseum. He has a residency at Caesars. So it's about a 6,000 seater. Yeah. But he is so great. We've seen him twice. We might go back again in March. The Kings play the Vegas Golden Knights on Sunday. We might see them on Saturday. But, 2 great shows, but 2 very, very different shows.
Where did you take her for dinner in Vegas? Did you have any good dinners?
No, we did. Mr. Chow with all white tablecloth, and they served a nice, red chili sauce that I spilled all over the table. It was fantastic. But Mr. Chow was great too. It was fantastic. And then went to Peter Luger Steakhouse the night before. So I went all
New York institution.
Yeah, it's mommy's birthday. I got to go all in. So Peter Luger Friday night, Mr. Chow Saturday night.
Are you surprised the Dallas Stars are where they're sitting right now?
No, because they don't care. They care about the playoffs, right? And they're not getting great goaltending from Ottinger. They don't care. If they finish 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or wild card, they don't care. Because these teams are so close, Scotty, it doesn't really matter. Home ice doesn't matter. So they're just playing for game 83 and game 84. They need Tyler Seguin back. He's been out with hip surgery. But I wouldn't be concerned with a Dallas Star fan. They're deep, they're smart, they're talented, and they have a pretty good goaltender.
And Vegas looks good, even without Marshall Show anymore.
Yeah. They got a chip on their shoulder, Scotty. Like, be careful of a team because you know what? They're still pissed from last year. They went out in game 7, round 1 against Dallas, who was the better team. This team's on a mission. Eichel's playing like a MVP candidate. Aiden Hill's playing great. They still have a deep, big defense. This team could do a lot of damage in the postseason.
All right. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy New Year, Elvis. I love you. You're the man. Dennis Bernstein, everybody.
The holidays come with a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Played a decent schedule. They had maybe 500.
Got it.
Oh, that just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.
You do not seem to be overly concerned about the Lions holding on to that 1 seed by the end of this season. Will Detroit have the NFC postseason run through the Motor City?
How many plays does the defense have to make in a shootout? They got to make 1 or 2 more plays, Ben, than the other team. And if they can do that, then Detroit is very much alive in any game.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Those guys, those rookies, the Pacom Daddiers, the Jacob Toppins, right? The Tyler Koleks, those young kids. He wants to get them that check. It means a lot to Brunson. And honestly, folks, it's going to mean a lot to this New York Knicks franchise that's never been back to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals since 1999.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Merry Christmas, everybody, on this Christmas Eve. Hope you have a great Christmas tomorrow with your family, and I hope everybody's safe and sound and get where you need to go. I saw that American Airlines disaster at the Aeropuertos. They shut down all their flights today, and what a mess that was. Anyway, I hope you get where you need to go and get there safely, like I said. A couple things. No show tomorrow. SportsGrid will still be rocking, of course, but we will not do Coast to Coast tomorrow. Thursday, I'll be on with my boy Mike Blewett, doing Coast to Coast on Thursday with Uncle Futrelli. And then Friday, Carver High is back in the saddle again. A couple other things. Get the SportsGrid app on iOS or Android in the Play Store. It's phenomenal. It's free. You can watch the network on there, listen to the network, follow your favorite hosts like Carver High. You've even got in-game odds on their stories, highlights, videos, you name it. It's all on the SportsGrid app. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Secondly, did you know that we're on X streaming now 7 days a week? That's right. Just go to SportsGrid-Live and you'll see us streaming on X. Imagine the technology. Third, get the Ferrall Coast to Coast and Ferrall on a Bench podcasts on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And they're awesome. The Ferrall C2C is 3 hours in case you missed the show. And Ferrall on a Bench is a short rip through sports of what went down and what's going down that night and all week long. It's cool. The C2C and Ferrall on a Bench podcasts, they're all out there on iTunes. Go check them out. All right, Carver High, we're still talking Pain Day.
We are still talking Pain Day. I got a few other things for you.
For Carver High.
Oh,
It's
there you go.
Unfortunate that I'm able to do it with the magic Christmas dust.
Yeah, but there you go. The magic Christmas dust does work, and now I'm back with you. I have a few that I want to get to you before we get out of here today. First, as we know, Jalen Hurts left the Eagle game on Sunday with a concussion in the first quarter. Now, Kenny Pickett came in. Honestly, I didn't think Pickett was great. I know that Smith hurt him with that drop at the end of the game there in the fourth quarter, but still, he's Kenny Pickett. Here's Nick Sirianni, who's going to try to sell you that the Eagles will be fine if they don't have Hurts, because replacing a quarterback is just like anywhere else on the roster. It's like replacing a running back or a wide receiver or anywhere. It's just a quarterback. Who cares?
There's different approaches that we take. With that, it depends on skill set of guys and the different skill sets, and sometimes it's to
You're full
give
of
the
shit.
player the things that he operates well at. Sometimes it's, what you're going against the defense. So there's not, you obviously, just like you would when a wide receiver's out of the game or a defensive back's out of the game, you adjust, and this is no different. You adjust. There's a lot of similarities. There's little differences. But there are differences. But it's just something that you adjust to. And this is the unfortunate part of the NFL. We've had a lot of experience doing this with different positions, and that includes the quarterback.
Falling asleep listening to this guy lying through his teeth. The bottom line is that Kenny Touchdown is nowhere near Jalen Hurts' talent, and that's just all there is to it. The Steelers gave up on him in 5 minutes, and that's just all you need to know. And I think Russell Wilson and Fields are better than Kenny Pickett. And they lost with Kenny Pickett at the helm last week. And so much for their 10-game winning streak. It doesn't matter that Kenny Pickett's playing. My ass.
They're completely different quarterbacks. Like, Kenny Pickett cannot do the things that Jalen Hurts does.
And never will.
In the run game, and never will. It's just not the same. Now, we don't know if he's going to play or not this week. We're still very early in the process, but the Eagles are 9.5-point favorites at the Link against the Cowboys, who, as we know, have been kind of spunky and have gotten themselves back to 7-8. I don't know if they win, but 9.5 with the Cowboys and potentially Kenny Pickett playing, that sounds pretty good to me if I want to take the star with all those points.
I'm going to take the points with Dallas, but how about this? How about Dallas outright on the road upsets the Eagles because Kenny Pickett is playing, and then they go back to next week. I don't know who they're playing, but if they win that game, they end up 9-8.
I believe that Dallas finishes with Washington, the last game of the year, who they beat in Washington already this year. In Dallas, they would play that game, the final game of the season. So
I think the Cowboys have been playing good football for Mike McCarthy. He'll keep his job. They'll finish. I say they beat the Eagles outright. You heard me, and they're going to beat the Commanders and go 9-8.
Next, yesterday we spent a lot of time talking about the Raiders blowing a chance at the number 1 pick in the draft. Here's Antonio Pierce's response yesterday to people who are criticizing the Raiders over such a thing.
A message for Raider fans who are upset that you guys fell down the draft board?
No comment.
I guess just the attitude. Can you talk about the attitude the players have after the game and the attitude today, and just how important that is to see the effort that they put in and getting the victory and what it means to them?
Yeah, man, look, we work 80 hours a day, all right, 80 hours a week. Staff, players come here, they're 40-plus hours to work. We don't do this to lose. We don't do this for anybody's fantasy football team. We don't do this for anybody's drafts, projections. None of that matters to us. Only thing that matters is winning, and that's all we want to do.
Well, that's why I think that there's some that believe he's not a good coach, and I'm one of them. I think he's an idiot. I don't think he knows what he's doing. I think that, look, I'm going to say this. The Giants have clearly, in my view, told their players to lose. They need to change their fortunes in the draft. Otherwise, Mara's going to fire Dable and he's going to fire Shane if they go out and win a game. They need to lose, get the number 1, turn it around, and you know what? The Raiders falling on the board because they won a game against Jacksonville, I think he's got egg on his face. They need to lose, and they need to get one of the top 2 picks because they are god-awful. They are a wretched, losing organization. I am sick and tired of hearing about, they suck. They're awful. They need to change their fortunes, and this idiot screwed it up.
The holidays come with a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Play a decent schedule. They have maybe 500. There's not serious.
That just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.
You do not seem to be overly concerned about the Lions holding on to that 1 seed by the end of this season. Will Detroit have the NFC postseason run through the Motor City?
How many plays does the defense have to make in a shootout? They got to make 1 or 2 more plays than the other team. And if they can do that, then Detroit is very much alive in any game.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Those guys, those rookies, the Pacom Daddies, the Jacob Toppins, right? The Tyler Koleks, those young kids. He wants to get them that check. It means a lot to Brunson. And honestly, folks, it's going to mean a lot to this New York Knicks franchise that's never been back to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals since 1999.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this. I said put 100 on. I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, "Hey, I never got the text." And I'm like,
no!
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe like it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Carver High has always ranked the top 500 movies of all time. He's also ranked Christmas Vacation as his favorite Christmas movie with Chevy Chase. Now, Sean McDermott is getting involved with his movie selection.
He is getting involved with his movie selection. Of course, it is that time of year. Got to throw a couple of holiday Christmas movies on once in a while. Let's find out from the Bills head coach. What would his pick be?
Favorite Christmas movie?
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Oh!
How about yours?
Oh!
I'm old school. It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, man.
Serious.
I love that about you right there. That's awesome.
Oh, that's not awesome.
What is the one in Christmas Story? Is that the one where the kid sticks his tongue on the pole?
That is that is on the
ever.
That is the worst. One of the worst Christmas movies ever. The fact that they play that 24 hours straight is embarrassing. They should be playing the Christmas Vacation 24 hours straight for that, because it's a much better, higher quality film than A Christmas Story. It's a dopey BB gun.
You will not
I cannot
rate Die Hard. You will not rate it.
It's not a Christmas movie. It's got nothing to do with Christmas. It is an action, summer blockbuster action movie. They do not release Christmas movies to the theater in the middle of July. That's not what they do. That's not a Christmas movie. Christmas is not a character in that film. It is not. I think less of you as a human if you think that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. That is a stern. I have principles in my life, and that's one of them. You cannot think that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I won't have it.
As a human.
I won't have it. I just won't have it at all in any circumstance. So there you go. Nice job by Sean. The Bills do play the Jets on Sunday in Orchard Park, and they're laying 9.5 in that game. That's a win. That's a win. I did see Rodgers was banged up, but then Rodgers said today, I want to play all 17 games. It's a goal of mine. So good. Hopefully Greg Russo makes it so that he can't play the last game of the year. We'll find out on Sunday in Orchard Park. 47.5. See, I don't even not like the Jets that much. It's only when I'm around Frank. Frank makes me hate the Jets more than I actually do. Frank makes me hate the Jets more than I actually hate them. So there you go. Sunday at 1 for those two.
How about
now, since I Yeah. Let me give you these three. I screwed these guys up because Frank's right. It's only the 4 or 5 minute segment, and we'll see what happens. I'll quickly give you these other three lines. See, that's what I do to the Elves after what they did to me on the last segment. So quickly here for you, Scotty. Other games of consequence this week. Atlanta is the Sunday night game in Washington.
Right.
Washington minus 4.5, 47.5 the total.
Washington wins and covers, and so much for Penix and the Falcons winning out.
Yeah, so much for that is right. Now, if that were to happen, the Bucs would need to win at home against Carolina to put themselves back in position to win the NFC South. They're laying 8.5 against the Panthers with a 49.5. Panthers have been spunky, man. That's a lot of sticks.
I like Tampa to win and Carolina to cover.
I do too. I think Carolina is going to cover that number. They've been way too competitive recently. Saturday, there's 3 games. In the middle one at 4:30 East is the Broncos in Cincinnati against the Bengals. Now, the Broncos are one of the teams that these 3 7-win teams are chasing to try to get into the playoffs. So the Bengals can do themselves a double dip here. They can win and give the Broncos another loss. They're 3-point favorites at home with a 49.5 total.
Yeah, the Bengals are going to win this game as sure as I'm sitting here. They're on fire right now, and they're going to win that game, and they're going to go give Pittsburgh problems on the 5th.
You know, they win that game. They're going to have a lot of gas when you go see them in Pittsburgh that last week. If Cincinnati beats Denver on Saturday, they're probably still going to be alive when they go to the place the Steelers play for that final game of the season. All right, there you go with your NFL. We'll come back. I want to play you a couple things from the hockey last night. I know you talked to Denny about most of it anyway, but there's a few things I have for you. I have some bowl stuff for you. Remember, Hawaii Bowl tonight. I'll give you the numbers for that. So we still have a lot to accomplish in the final few minutes together before Christmas Day.
Yeah, you heard me talk to Denny about the knee to the groin as opposed to the knee on knee. Do you agree with the knee to the groin over the knee to knee?
Yeah, the knee to the groin's a tough scene with that. It's definitely a tough scene, the knee to the groin. Nobody likes that.
The holidays come with a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Play a decent schedule. They have maybe 500.
Oh, that just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.
You do not seem to be overly concerned about the Lions holding on to that 1 seed by the end of this season. Will Detroit have the NFC postseason run through the Motor City?
How many plays does the defense have to make in a shootout? They got to make 1 or 2 more plays, Ben, than the other team. And if they can do that, then Detroit is very much alive in any game.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Those guys, those rookies, the Pacom Daddies, the Jacob Toppins, right? The Tyler Koleks, those young kids. He wants to get them that check. It means a lot to Brunson. And honestly, folks, it's going to mean a lot to this New York Knicks franchise that's never been back to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals since 1999.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this. I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh, yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. When he texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
we talked hockey with Denny, but we haven't talked hockey yet with Carver High, and everybody loves hockey.
Everybody does love hockey, and only because I usually don't get to give you anything with hockey in terms of clips and things like that. And I wanted to today because it's Christmas Eve, and I wanted to put a couple presents under the tree for you. And what better present than this? The Penguins beat the Flyers last night, 7-3. We always love when the Penguins beat the Flyers. And how about Sidney Crosby? He had a 4-point night. He now has 133 points in 88 games against the Flyers. Why don't we listen to Sid cap off the 4-point night here on Sportsnet Pittsburgh?
It's more just, as you said, the courtesy and professionalism of Noel Acciari, and that earns you the respect. Flyers dig the puck free, comes back to the point, Drysdale blocked. Here comes Sidney Crosby. He's all alone. Crosby scores! A 4-point night for the captain. He owns the Flyers. 6-3.
He does own the Flyers. A brilliant career. He catches Lemieux for all-time assists in Penguins franchise history. And like I said to Denny, they moved over 500.
He's and I know we do this all the time. People are probably sick of it. He's still one of the best. Like I know, he's obviously not, maybe as fast as he was 10 years ago, whatever. He's still one of the best 5 to 7 players in the league. He just is. Even at his age, it's amazing. The Islanders, I told you yesterday, were going to lose. Now, they won in Toronto on Saturday night. They had this Buffalo team coming in that lost 13 games in a row. It set up long holiday break coming up, upset the people of Long Island a little bit more. They got thumped 7-1 by the Sabres. Now, I don't know what game Patrick Waugh was watching behind the bench, but he wasn't watching the same game as me. Here he is.
I mean, am I surprised to see the score like this? Yeah. I mean, I don't think we were as bad as the score showed.
Get serious. I don't think we were. You lost 7-1, dude. What do you mean you weren't as bad as the score showed? They got thumped by a team that had lost 13 games in a row. That was pathetic last night at the horse track by the Islanders. Pathetic and embarrassing. Bruins beat the Caps. That was a fail. Tampa beat Florida 4-0. You mentioned the Kucherov thing, the hit with Tkachuk. Nothing will happen to him, though, because he's Kucherov. They won't do anything to him with that. What they did in game will be enough, throwing him out. Columbus beat Montreal. That was a hit. Preds beat the Canes 5-2. Minnesota beat Chicago. The Canucks beat the Sharks. Pedersen left with an undisclosed injury. He did not return. And the Stars beat Utah, and Vegas beat the Ducks last night as well. Hockey's off until Friday.
Highly unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
I thought I should let you know, though. Hockey will be back on Friday with a very full slate.
Thursday, though, when we're on the air.
Yes. The World Juniors are on starting this week, so you do have that cooking for you. All right. Bowl season, of course, is in. Yesterday we talked about these 4 matchups. They did do some media, though, yesterday, so we got to hear from these coaches the first time about the opponents they will have in the college football playoff. We'll start with James Franklin from Penn State. Very impressed already with the tape he's watched on Boise State running back Ashton Genty.
He is hard to tackle. It starts and ends with the running back, and I think they do a really good job of not only getting him the ball in the run game, but also in the pass game, but then also using him in play action pass to create some opportunities to get some explosive plays down the field in the passing game. So it'll be a definite challenge for us.
I don't think he'll have 100 yards against Penn State.
Ooh, Penn State, really good defense, really good up front. Now, one thing, that's the bet. Now, they did play Oregon tight, and that's what everyone loves to hang the Boise State hat on, is that they went to Autzen and they played, they lost a 3-point game to the Ducks, who are the number 1 undefeated team. Penn State's got a very physical front 7 that is going to give Genty all kinds of problems, 10.5 and 52.5 for this game, which will be New Year's Eve at the Toaster at the Fiesta Bowl. So everyone's looking forward to that.
That number's too meaty for me. I think Boise might be to play at 10 and a hook. I bet they lose by 10.
It's possible. You know, that I could see that as a typical, like, they're down 17 and they score like a backdoor with a minute left to lose by 10. Like, that's what you're playing with fire on those. Texas will play Arizona State in the Peach Bowl. Let's hear from head coach Steve Sarkisian. He loves what Dillingham and this Arizona State team has done.
This is a heck of a challenge. Like, you don't, like, you're not a conference championship team, especially in the Big 12. I want to remind everybody, like, we were in that Big 12, 27 years? We won 4, okay? This is their first year in, and they won a Big 12 championship. Like, it's a really hard thing to do. They're playing with confidence right now. The last 2 months, I think they're playing as good as football as anybody in the country. And that's a credit to Coach Dillingham and their staff and in building their team as they've gotten better and better as the years gone on. And it's clear as day to see when you watch the tape. So this is a heck of a challenge for us.
I still think Texas wins the game. And, I'll take 13.5 with Arizona State. I think that, we got a great running attack, Scalaboo. I think they'll be in the game.
I'm with you. I'm taking the 13.5. I know it's some people are probably going to be a little queasy about it when we just saw all these blowouts in the first round games, but I think this is going to be a little different here in this round, especially in this game where Arizona State's been feisty all year long. Dan Lanning in Oregon, they've been sitting around, and they're now ready to go. A rematch with Ohio State. Lanning loves big matchups against big teams.
Getting the opportunity to play great teams, that's what it's about. And this part of the year, I think when you play great teams, that gives you some extra motivation to go work really hard, to be prepared and ready to be out there on the field. So obviously Ohio State's a great team, and the path to the end is tough, which is exciting for our team and certainly for me.
I mean, they're getting points. I mean, that's crazy to me. I'll take Oregon. I think they'll beat them again outright. You give me 2.5, thank you.
The granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. They still bow down to this bowl like it's the greatest thing ever. The granddaddy of them all. I will
say that I will argue that it is. I think that of all the bowl games, it is the most magnificent experience that I've ever had in a stadium. I've gone to it multiple times. I think it's the greatest place. I think Pasadena on New Year's Day is just as magnificent a place as anywhere on earth. And it's always blue skies and incredible. And it is the granddaddy, whether you like it or not. It's better than all of them. It's better than the Sugar, the Fiesta, the Orange, all these other bowl games. The Rose Bowl's bigger. It always has been. And the Rose Bowl itself is one of the great institution stadiums in all of college football. I would put Ann Arbor, I would put Notre Dame Stadium, and I would put the Rose Bowl. I mean, if you go to a Rose Bowl, like Morency went to the Rose Bowl for the first time ever last year to see Michigan play Alabama. He said it was the greatest experience of his life going to the Rose Bowl. It is a very cool place. And ever since I've been going, they serve beer there. It's fantastic.
I do like how when the game starts, it's in the sun-soaked California sky. Like the sun's just shining on the game, and then the second half's always night under the lights. Like you get like the taste of both worlds at the Rose Bowl for that. So that should be fun. All right, I got one more. We'll do Freeman on Notre Dame and Georgia, and then we will get into tonight, Hawaii Bowl with USF and San Jose State. And I will tell you about a new quarterback in Bloomington next year for the Hoosiers. And we can break the fight song out.
Gun predicted it correctly that he would
Did
go
he?
there.
Wow. We will tell you who it is when we come back.
He was right.
The holidays come with a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Playing a decent schedule. They have maybe 500. There's five of us.
Oh, that just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.
You do not seem to be overly concerned about the Lions holding on to that 1 seed by the end of this season. Will Detroit have the NFC postseason run through the Motor City?
How many plays does the defense have to make in a shootout? They got to make 1 or 2 more plays, Ben, than the other team. And if they can do that, then Detroit is very much alive in any game.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Those guys, those rookies, the Pacom Daddies, the Jacob Toppins, right? The Telecolics, those young kids. He wants to get them that check. It means a lot to Brunson. And honestly, folks, it's going to mean a lot to this New York Knicks franchise that's never been back to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals since 1999.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this. I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, "Hey, I never got the text." And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. When he texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The Irish are taking on Georgia, and they're going to play the single wing because they don't have a quarterback. I love Notre Dame's chances against Georgia.
Yeah, look, as we know, Georgia is not going to have Carson Beck, who did end up having that surgery on his elbow this week. So we know he ain't going to be there, and most people think he's not even going to be.
I think Notre Dame beat him with him. I don't think he's that good.
I hope that you are right. Instead, as we know, it'll be Gunnar Stockton who's going to be playing quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs down in Nolens. Here is Irish head coach Marcus Freeman. Whoever it is, we're going to be ready.
Yeah, you evaluate, obviously schematically what they've done all season.
Schematically.
And then you have a separate tape of what, Stockton, the new quarterback, has done. I think we have 80-something plays of him playing quarterback. He can run their offense. He does some things a little bit differently. He's got, he can extend plays with his legs. Good athlete.
All the bullshit.
Gotta talk him up.
The Diaz brothers are the best thing ever from Stockton. Both troublemakers. The best thing about Stockton is his name's Gunner. That's my son's name. So that's all he's got going for him. He sucks.
Well, he will try to beat the Irish as a 1.5-point favorite on New Year's night.
And then what are they going to do?
In Nolens. From your lips to God's ears. I would love to see Notre Dame finally beat one of these big teams in a bowl game. That's for sure. So tonight, there is only one game on the calendar anywhere. That is in any sport. There's only one thing happening as you get ready for Santa to come down the chimney. And that is out on the Big Island in Hawaii, as we will have the Hawaii Bowl, where you'll have USF making the long journey, and San Jose State out of the Mountain West will be there to greet them. Now, when we first talked about this game, I think it was like a week or two ago, I believe that San Jose State was in like the 3.5 range. It was 2.5 this morning. And get this, a couple hours before kick, it's now gone to 1.5 for San Jose State over USF this evening.
I bet the under 64.5.
I like that too. I know that people think that this South Florida team score a lot of points. I think it's a blue collar game. I think that they're there on vacation.
They won
I think
6 games.
I think
Calm down.
they're not a great team. And San Jose State, I think this is the second time or in 3 years they played in this game. They might have even played in it last year. They know the deal in Hawaii. They go there to play Hawaii all the time in the Mountain West. I think they're better. 1.5, 2.5, 3.5. I don't care. I'm on Spartans tonight, Scotty. San Jose State here against the Bulls.
There you go. I bet the under on and put it out there on the app too. So
okay,
I like the under. I hope they both beat each other up, and we'll see what happens. I'm not. To be honest with you, I'm not that excited about it. I'm going to be in a fantastic restaurant. I may go to the bathroom once and take a peek. I try not to do that when I'm taking people out to dinner, but I am going to do it because I really don't care. It's my family.
Well, you know what? You're on the under, so you're just hoping you check it at halftime and it's like 10-7. And you're like, all right, that sounds good to me. I don't need to know anything else. Now, of course, you're back on Thursday for Coast to Coast. There are bowl games Thursday in the afternoon that I think you should know about, and we should talk about them now because they're going to start by the time you get on Coast to Coast. Pitt and Toledo Thursday afternoon in the Game Above Sports Bowl, whatever the hell that is. This is at Ford Field. The Game Above. Ford Field in Detroit, where Pitt will play Toledo. Pitt's laying a tutty now. I know they got 7.5 this morning. I'm seeing 7 where I'm at here. The Rate Bowl is out in Phoenix, where the Diamondbacks play between Rutgers and Kansas State. That's also a 7 for the Wildcats. And Arkansas State and Bowling Green will play in the Ventures Bowl, which is in Alabama, with Bowling Green laying 8 against the Redhawks.
I think Pitt wins. I think Kansas State wins and covers. And I think Bowling Green wins, but Arkansas State covers that big number.
Yeah, I like Pitt a lot in that first game. And I like Kansas State a lot, too. I think that they're both going to smash. I don't know. I couldn't, Arkansas State and Bowling Green. That's like that Northern Illinois Fresno game yesterday. Like, who the hell knows what's going to happen in that one with those two teams.
Do you think I should convince Chop to go to Rutgers? And I got a friend that plays basketball with us, and I hadn't seen him in a while. He goes to Rutgers. He says he loves it. And I told you it was just ranked 15th in the country, Rutgers, for an education. Can you imagine?
The State University of New Jersey? You're going to get the State University of New Jersey, Rutgers?
And go to Rutgers, or
why not?
NYU, Columbia, they cost too much money.
Yeah, too much money. You don't want to do any of that. One final college football note for you today. The transfer portal, of course, is open. Indiana needs a new quarterback because Rourke's done. He's out of eligibility. I don't know why he can't play 2 more years. Everyone else does. I don't know why we can't have Rourke come back. But Fernando Mendoza, who was the quarterback at Cal this year, had a pretty good year. He has decided to go to Indiana. He was picking between, he went to some big places, Georgia, Missouri. There was a few places in the mix for Fernando, but Kurt Cignetti and the Hoosiers have got him in. He was the second-ranked quarterback in the portal, and he will now be in Bloomington. He's got 2 years of eligibility left.
I mean, that is just fantastic news for the Hoosiers and Cignetti that he goes from the Maple and the kid from Canada and Rourke, who was fantastic. But in the end, against Ohio State and against Notre Dame, he sucked. So let's see if Mendoza can go there for 2 years and light it up for the Hoosiers. I don't actually believe, Mike, that they'll ever win 11 games again as long as I'm on this earth.
So that will be the greatest season of Indiana football in your lifetime, the one that just completed.
Yes.
It will be the best season of Indiana football ever.
And I called Notre Dame by 10 on this show.
The holidays come with a touch of craziness, from unwrapping the latest storylines to the best betting insights. We've got everything you need to crank up the excitement this season. We can't promise there won't be a little yelling.
Play a decent schedule. They have maybe 500.
Oh, that just ruined my day.
But we can guarantee a whole lot of fun. Merry Christmas from all of us at SportsGrid.
You do not seem to be overly concerned about the Lions holding on to that 1 seed by the end of this season. Will Detroit have the NFC postseason run through the Motor City?
How many plays does the defense have to make in a shootout? They got to make 1 or 2 more plays, Ben, than the other team. And if they can do that, then Detroit is very much alive in any game.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Those guys, those rookies, the Pacom Daddies, the Jacob Toppins, right? The Tyler Koleks, those young kids. He wants to get them that check. It means a lot to Brunson. And honestly, folks, it's going to mean a lot to this New York Knicks franchise that's never been back to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals since 1999.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this. I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, "Hey, I never got the text." And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. When he texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Great day today. Thank you, Frank the Tank and R.A. Dickey, Robert Anderson. Great job running the show again for the umpteenth time. I hope you have a magnificent Christmas. From Carver High and I, sending you the happiest of holidays and a great day tomorrow with your family and friends. And I just hope it's a magnificent experience for you. All right, leftovers.
Leftovers. We do have a few things today. This just came across my desk, too. I saw that Zion's going to practice next week.
Whoa.
Wow. I mean, he's going to stop sitting on the bench in his $1,500 sweatsuits. He's going to go out there and he's going to practice next week. So anything's possible.
When he plays for 2 months a year.
I actually think it's down to like 2 weeks now. I think he plays 2 weeks a year.
What do they play? 7 months? He plays about a month or two of the whole season. That's it.
I mean, geez. It's unbelievable. Sabrina Ionescu is joining the new unrivaled 3-on-3 league, an historic deal. As I guess that means she's going to play in both? Is that what this means? She plays in this and she plays in the WNBA? Whatever.
I think the 3-on-3 will be better than the WNBA, to be honest.
I'll say this to you. How could it not be?
Yeah, I mean, honestly.
How could it not be better than that league? So, how could it not be better? Baseball today.
Yeah. The WNBA, they shoot bricks.
Brick league. I saw a story today that they want to play a Caitlin Clark Indiana Fever game in like Europe or something, Paris or Spain or one of these places. I thought that she's not the reason the league's popular. Isn't that what they've all been running around saying for the last few weeks? But they're going to put one of her games. Why don't they go put a Vegas LA game over in Europe? I know why. Because no one would go because she's not in the game. So that's
they're going to send her because they like to upset the girl Angel Reese, because everything that Caitlin Clark does irritates the living F out of Angel Reese. Is there anyone more mentally effed or jealous or just overcooked than that Angel Reese chick when it comes to Caitlin Clark? She just is obsessed with her and is not better than her in any way, shape, or form. The only reason people watched college basketball, women's, was Caitlin Clark. And the only reason the WNBA has any juice at all, it's Caitlin Clark. And also, let me remind you that league, all they do is rip off those chicks. None of them make any money. I mean, they literally pay them nothing. Like, there are college basketball players making 20 times what the pro players make. Why even go to the WNBA when you make all that money in college? And all you have to do is fake an injury or two and play another couple years. The NCAA is so crooked, they don't care about college athletes getting an education at all. Now it is pro sports with kids.
That's all that it is. Baseball, quickly. Corbin Burns is still unsigned. That's because he wants $245 million and hasn't found anybody to give it to him yet. The Giants, Blue Jays, and Orioles seem to have the most interest, but obviously none have been able to reach the mark yet for him. And baseball reached an agreement with their umpires, 5-year collective bargaining agreement. I'm sure, I don't know if there was any fine print in there that they're not allowed to replace them with robots or any other crazy idea Manfred gets in the next few years. No, they're not good. They're just not good.
So Rella finished the top 3 chicken strips at fast food restaurants according to the LA Times. Wingstop, number 1. Popeyes, number 2. Raising Cane's, number 3. I keep telling Coach Young that Chick-fil-A is overrated. Popeyes is clearly top 3, and they're top 3 in everything. They really are. Meanwhile, they're bankrupt. Stripper at a Portland vegan strip club allegedly stabs the DJ during a show in a caught-on-camera attack that was shocking for the drunk patrons inside. She says that she was possessed by a demon. I love people that are possessed by demons, particularly during the holidays. Ohio funeral home to be the first in the state to serve alcohol during services. This may be as big as the hibachi at the stadium's idea. Giving people alcohol when they've lost their loved ones is a fantastic idea. I might go to more funerals. It'd be like wedding crashers, you know? If I could go to funerals, GTD is next. Get the Ferrall app. Search Ferrall. We'll see you. Have a great Christmas. I'll see you Thursday.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred, or just worked on the side, or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this. I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, "Hey, I never got the text." And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. When he texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.